Welcome to Market Recap Live. I am your host, Joseph Martin, and thank God it's Tuesday. Tonight, we are taking a look at ticker MMM. You might know them better as 3M. 3M Company was founded in 1902 by 5 businessmen in various professions: a meat market owner, a doctor, an attorney, and 2 railroad executives. These men opened the first location in Two Harbors, Minnesota. Now 3M is over a $75 billion publicly traded company in the industrials conglomerates industry in the industrials sector. And they are listed in the S&P 500 index. Some of 3M Company's peers are Illinois Tool Works, ticker ITW, Fastenal, ticker FAST, and Honeywell, ticker HON. We're going to review 3M Company's earnings, their website, and visit the charts to perform a quick technical analysis. But before we do that, let's do our roll call and check our stream poll. We are streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. Let's get this chat going and tell us where you're tuning in from. Put a YT in the chat if you're tuning in from YouTube, and put an FB in the chat if you're tuning in from Facebook. While you guys are filling up the stream and the chat, here's the mission statement. We are building a community over here for people who want to take control of their financial situation by learning how to unlock the wealth building power of the stock market. And we are streaming Monday through Friday following trading sessions at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The U.S. stock market regular trading hours are 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And there's a link for the New York Stock Exchange calendar down in the description. Okay, let's get to it. Let's get to these earnings. Hold that. That didn't do nothing, did it? Did that take us to the earnings? Not at all. Something's going on. That's the main. Okay. Let's get it. Hold on one second. Earnings. Here we are. Now we got to get the company up. There we go. All right. So 3M Company, ticker MMM, the $79.09 billion company reported its first quarter earnings today. They have a 52-week high of $177.41, which took place on February 12th, and a 52-week low of $124.65 that occurred today. No, it did not. That did not occur today. Let's go to the charts to verify that. That $124.65, that occurred on April 21st of last year. That's why I'm saying today. So this same day last year, the 52-week low was $124.65, which is a trading range of $52.76, and they closed today at $148.79. 3M Company earnings report missed on the top line, reporting revenue of $6 billion, which was lower than the market expectations of $6.04 billion, but beat on the bottom line as underlying efficiency gains and stronger operations offset higher other expectations. EPS was higher than the analyst and market expectations of $2 when they reported an adjusted EPS of $2.14. 3M Company reported a GAAP net income of $670 million, which was lower than the $1.12 billion net income they reported this same quarter last year. This represents a decrease of 40.2%. So for the first fiscal quarter of 2025, their net profit was approximately 67.2% higher than it is compared to now a year later. The earnings were released before the market opened, followed by a 9 a.m. Eastern Time conference call. As far as guidance, management is officially predicting they will make about $8.60 per share this year. But they are warning investors that the bulk of the money that will be made in the year. Wait a minute. But they are warning investors that the bulk of the money will be made early in the year rather than later in the year. That 52-week high compared to today's closing price of $148.79 represents a decline of 16.1% over a span of approximately 2 months. So if someone invested $1,000 in February at that 52-week high of $177.41, they would be seeing a loss of $161.32. All right, let's go back here. What happened? I don't know what happened. Some type of way. Let me check the Zoom. Some type of way, these buttons have been thrown off, and I have no idea why. No idea. But we're going to push through it. We're going to push through it. So let's talk about why we visit these company websites. We are looking at the visuals and text to find answers to these key questions. What goods and or services does the company sell? How important are those goods and services to their customers? What makes this company stand out from the competition? And how well do they take care of their employees? To find these answers, we browse 4 key areas: the homepage for goods and or services, about us for purpose, vision, and mission statements, careers for employee benefits and opportunities, and investor relations for SEC filings and stock quotes. And for your convenience, all companies featured in tonight's live stream are down in the description. Now let's go back to 3M Company's website. And I'm not going to use that stream deck because it's tearing us up. Let's try this. Go over here. Let's blow this up. We're just going to do this a different way since the button's not acting right. And we have the ticker on the screen, so we're good. All right. So 3M, their goods and services. I had pulled up some information. I'm not going to go through that. They sell a lot of different things, guys. And one of the things that I know stood out to me with 3M was during the pandemic in 2020, they sold a lot of those masks, those 97. I can't think of the rating number for the masks, but they were the global leader in selling those masks that helped us during the pandemic. So let's look at their different products. Look at all this different stuff. So they're really known for abrasive adhesives. They sell goods to medical, like medical supplies, lab supplies. It's a lot of different stuff this company has their hands in. Tapes, tools and equipment, electrical. So let's see the different industries. Look at this: automotive, government. So they have a very broad customer base. So their goods and their services is very wide. There's a high demand for it because there's so many different things that they do. And some of the brands that they have, we can look at that. Yeah. So here are some of the different brands. I'm not going to read them all. Remember, links for this website, not just this website, all the websites featured in tonight's show are down in the description for your convenience if you want to go and look at this. I didn't know that Scotch Brite was one of their brands. I didn't know this either. So this is automotive. So like the air filters that go in the cars, I believe that's what that is. And this is like office supplies with those Post-its. And then like electrical tape, the 3M electrical tape. So that helps in the electrical industry. It's a lot of different things this company has their hands in. I think gloves, they sell gloves too. I know they sell the mask, which we talked about earlier. So we touched over the goods and services. This is no longer the home page because we had clicked on the brand. So let me click there. I believe this takes us back to the home page. I'm going to browse down to the bottom, and then we're going to visit the careers, and then we're going to visit the investors relations. So let me take me off the screen. Now remember, this stream deck been acting up. I'm gonna have to get on this when we get out of the stream. So let me check and see if this button is gonna act right. Okay, at least that's working. Okay, so that took me off the screen. So here are the different choices we're gonna go through. Here's 3M careers. There's about 3M. So let's see if that tells us anything different where we can find the mission statement, vision statement, and purpose. So here's the about 3M. Let me put me back on the screen. There we go. They talk about the brands again. So at a glance, learn more about the company. So they talk about their research and development. So this means they're constantly looking for ways to improve and bring new products to the marketplace. All right, so that's the about us, and there's a whole bunch of different things we can click on here. So they talk about their history, their values. So the values we can say is going to be like the mission and vision statement. So this is the ethics and compliance. The core values of the company. So they talk about loyalty, they talk about accuracy, accountability, honesty, fairness, and respect. So those are excellent values to have in a company to keep the morale of everything up. So let's go over to, we got that. Let's go to careers. Let me see if we can find that at the bottom. I know I'm scrolling fast. Remember, if it's something you want to look at, you can go to this website and visit it yourself. The links are in the description. So here we go. We're going to go to 3M careers. This thing keep popping up, don't it? Are we zoomed in? We already at 150. We're not going to go bigger than 150. Said something about work. Oh, working at 3M. I thought that said 3 a.m. I ain't texting nobody. So let's go. Let's look. Brands, apply at jobs, navigating. I'm looking for the benefits, and I don't see anything that jumps out at me. See, working at candidate resources and events, applying to jobs. Let me see if we can find something just by clicking on these. It does open. Here it is. Pay and benefits. There we go. We got to click around, guys. We got to click around. So let's see how much of this they will give details about. I don't see a dollar amount here. So that's the pay. I don't see a dollar amount. And I know it would vary depending on your position. So they talk about some of the benefits right here. And this has a bunch of drop downs, and I'm not on the screen again. So let me put me back on the screen. I thought you could see me. There's a bunch of different drop downs. They talk about the life insurance. They talk about paid absences, retirement benefits, even employee stock purchase. So I'm thinking that has to do with you being able to invest in the company through the company. So it looks like they offer a lot of employee benefits. And even though you had to catch it, they got tuition reimbursement, and right here, this adoption assistance. So this is the second company I've seen on these live streams that we do where the company offers reimbursement for you adopting a child. The other company, I believe, reimbursed you up to $25,000. You could be working for a company right now and don't even know some of the benefits that company offers for you because you haven't even went on the website or read the documents that they give you. Sometimes they don't even have it in the documents that you get from human resources. So let's just move on. We went to that. We seen what the benefits were with that. So let's go over to investors relations. I'll take me off the screen so you can see it right here, investors relations. So we go there. Let's zoom in, make sure we at 150. Yeah, they zoomed us out. They always do this when we go to this page. Let me put me back on the screen. So here we are. We need to find, or what I'm looking for is the stock quote and the stock chart information they usually show on the website for these companies. I'm scrolling down to see if it's down at the bottom, and I do not see it. Remember, links for this website are down in the description for your convenience. So let's scroll over these different things. See if we can find the news and events, stock information right here, right in our face. Would have jumped out and bit me. So this company does pay dividends. Here's the quote in the charts. And they talk about other information about the company down here as well. Let's go to stock quote and charts. So here is the chart that they offer on the website. They have the historical data. Here's the stock quote information right here in this section. And they might have more tools at the bottom, which I don't see. All right, so that's what they have on the website. Let's go back over to here. That did not work. Anyway, and set myself right on up, didn't I? Okay, here we go. Now let's go here. Oh, I can't wait to fix that when we finish the live stream. Before we look at the charts, remember, professionals trade from a computer, not a mobile device. Mobile trading apps are limited. Traders lose critical detail and advanced platform features on a mobile screen. So be advised, trading from a phone is usually the least effective way for managing assets. To see every detail, use a full trading platform and watch these streams on a computer or a TV. Only use a phone as a last resort. Now let's look at the charts for 3M. And I hope that I remember that some of these buttons ain't acting right, but we gonna get to it. All right, all right, all right. So we're gonna do that one. Let's see if this gonna do us right. Yes, put me back on the screen. But they took the ticker off. Let's try this again. I see what's going on. I see what's going on. I see what it is. I see what it is. Earnings is in the wrong spot. So now if we do this, let me try this again. Let me try to fix this. Put me back on the screen. Here we go. Now put the ticker on here. Oh no. Oh no. All right. I'm gonna have to manually do this. I need to put that ticker on the screen, guys. Give me 1 second. So go over here to captions and trading shown. This is it. Make sure this is the right ticker. Thank you for joining Market Recap Live. Nope, that's not the right one. Here's the right ticker. All right, got it. Now let's do the technical analysis on 3M. We are looking at a 1 year daily chart. And it looks like 3M has been trading in a range for quite some time over this year. And that low that I talked about at the beginning of the live stream, you can't see it. So let me take me off the screen so you can check this out. Right over here, this same day last year, April 21st, right here, they had a low of $124.65. That was the lowest out of this time frame we're looking at over the course of a year. And I'm going to look for support and resistance lines. I would say this support is going to be more of a zone. So let me go ahead and draw this. I'm going to use the bottom of this candle and the low of this candle, but I'm gonna come over this way and try to kind of like eyeball it. No, I'm gonna do it this way. I'm gonna show you how to do this. So we're gonna put the support and resistance zone right here, and then we're gonna extend this over to the right. So what I'm gonna do, I need to right click on this, what we just drew, put edit properties, and we're gonna go back in time right here. This date right here, we click the calendar, and we're gonna go back. So we're gonna go back to April 2025 and click that 21st day and click OK, and it should expand it to the left. So that's how we get our support and resistance zone that I wanted to put on the chart, and we can put me back on the screen. Okay, and now I want to put some resistance on here because it was trending up pretty well above this 200-day simple moving average line for a while. It didn't start breaking it until in this area right here. So this was January of this year. And then it was able to hit this 52-week high of $177.41. And for a while, I would say that this was a zone of resistance. So let me use that tool again that I just had used a minute ago, and we'll extend that over. So that zone was acting as resistance. And let me do the same thing, extend this over to the left, go to edit properties. We're going to change this date right here. Go back, April 21st. Okay, there we go. So here's our support zone. Here's our resistance zone. And right now, today, actually, that 200-day simple moving average, this dashed white line, this acted as resistance today. We can see that the wick, the high for today, came and tested that 200-day simple moving average, and it failed. It came up to that area and fell right back on down to here. This is where it closed at. So we're going to talk about the stock quote in a minute, but I want you guys to see the potential and the opportunity that was in this stock a few years ago. It wasn't that long ago. So if we go here, let me go to chat. If we change this to a 10-year weekly chart, we can see that in 2023, guys, let me take me off the screen. Let me take me off the screen so you can see this, because this is mind blowing to me. In 2023, you can see the year right here. Triple M was trading for $71.36. That was the lowest it's been during a trading session in the last 10 years. This is a 10-year weekly chart. So that 2023 price. Okay. So if we were to connect this low to that 52-week high that we've had this year, here's the support and resistance. Here's the support. Here's the resistance zones that I drew on the chart earlier. So we're going to connect the bottom of that candle to the top of that candle. Let me zoom back into that specific area. And these are weekly candles, so you know what time frame we're looking at. So from that low to that high, this retracement tool is going to tell us how many weeks did it take. Well, actually days. It's telling us days. So we're going to use the calculator and break that down into years. So we'll know. Actually, we can just glance at it on the chart. But this stock went up 148.62% in a matter of how many years? That's what we need to figure out now. So I'm gonna use the calculator, pull the calculator up on the screen. And we put in the 840 days and we divide that by 365. So 2.3 years. So less than 2.5 years, it was able to produce an opportunity that was over 145%. in less than 2.5 years. That's what we see right there. So let me put me back on the screen. And we're looking at a 10-year weekly chart. But I just wanted to go back and show you, because when we were looking at a 1-year daily chart, we can't see that lowest point over the last 10 years. We couldn't even see the 70. So that's why when I do technical analysis, I zoom out so I can see a more complete picture looking at historical data. So that's why I did that, so I could show you this. So the stock price today, this is where we are right here for today. So the current price is below the 9-day simple moving average, and it's below the 200-day simple moving average. And it looked like for the majority of the year, it's been trading between this support and resistance zones. So let's go ahead and read the stock quote for Triple M for today. So let me open up my floating data box, and it didn't work. So go right here to settings, and then we go here to floating data box and cut on floating. It says data box, but we want the floating option. Click apply, click OK. Now, when we mouse over this candle, the information we need is right there in that box. So Triple M opened today at $151.77. That had a high of $158.14. They had a low of $146.86. And they closed today at $148.47, which was a trading range of $11.28. And when we look at the volume, their trading volume for today was 7.2 million shares of this stock was traded today. And remember, they had earnings today as well. So we should be seeing an increased amount of volume. So let me cut off this floating data box, and we're going to look at our volume label. So let me take me off the screen so you can see this. So when we go over here, the average volume that Triple M usually trades is 3.3. We're going to round this up. 3.4 million shares of this stock is what they usually trade in a trading session. That's their average. So on today's Tuesday. So yesterday, the volume was 4.6. We're going to round this up. 4.7 million shares of this stock was traded on Monday. And then today, we see an increase in volume as well. So for the last 2 trading sessions, it's been trading above average. And today, it was the 7.2 million shares traded today in the trading session. So when we look at the volume rank percentile label right here, it's 97.6%, which means out of the most recent 252 trading days, only 6 days had higher volume, than today. And it was significant selling pressure especially after it came up and tested that 200-day simple moving average. So to me, this is acting as resistance for right now. And notice how this 200-day moving average, simple moving average, is right between the support and the resistance zones. It's almost smack dab in the middle of those two things. So, all right, we did Triple M. That was our earnings company. So let's move on. I remember this button don't work. I was about to set myself up for failure again. Hold up. All right, let me click this manually. There we go. We back to the main screen. All right, now let's get it. Let's move back to the community. I would appreciate it very much if you guys share the stream, hit the like button. Hit the like button, subscribe, and if you wish to send a monetary gift to support the content, Cash App and PayPal. All these buttons are tearing me up tonight. They tearing me up tonight. I don't know what happened that threw all of this off. I'm telling you, I had all this programmed and set, and all of a sudden it's just putting me through the flux tonight. So I got to manually find this ticker. Give me 1 second. So Cash App and PayPal links are down in the description and on the ticker on the screen. All right. So now let's look at the S&P 500 index to see what they did today by using the SPY ETF. This ETF gives investors an opportunity to participate in the broader U.S. market by allowing them to own a percentage of each company in that index. Okay, so let's go back to the charts. Let's go back to the charts. And we need to put the SPY up here. Got to manually do that. So go back over here. Here's the SPY because we're not looking at Triple M no more. Let's type them in the symbol box, SPY. Okay. So I know it's a lot of different lines on this screen now because we've been looking at this SPY every day. Every day when we do these live streams. Let me make sure I got the right market recap live. Okay, so the right ticker's on the screen. Wanted to make sure I had that. So there's really no new technical analysis to put on here besides, I would say, this. We can look at this high as resistance now. So that's about the only, I'm gonna draw it as a zone, okay? And I'm gonna zoom in really, not really close, but you'll see what I'm saying. So the technical analysis I'm about to do, I'm about to use the top of the wick of today's candle, and we are looking at a 1 year daily chart. So you'll know what we're looking at, even though we're zoomed in. I'm gonna use the wick on today's candle and the top of the wick on Friday's candle. So this is Friday's candle. This is today's candle. So I'm gonna use this rectangle tool right here. And this is going to be my support, my resistance zone. So we're going to open up edit properties. We're going to bring it over further to the right. So we can just push the plus symbol and it'll bring that zone over to the right. I'm going to bring it to the 21st. So we're going to put it about a month out from today. And then I want to make sure that price range is accurate. So the high, the value we have right here from the left point is 712.43. It needs to be 712.40. It needs to be 712.39. So we're going to manually put that in 712.39. So now when we push OK, everything is there. So that's my resistance zone. So that's the new thing that we've added as far as like the technical analysis. So let me zoom back in on this area. Zoom in even further because we got a lot going on this chart now. And I'm going to stretch this out and like really just focus on this area right here. So this is where we are, but this is today's actual candle. So even though it's been a red day, you can see that that wick from the technical analysis we had drew prior on our previous live streams, that wick came down and tested that area today. That's 702.78. So it didn't close below this level of support, but it closed below the 705.76. So that's what we're looking at with the technical analysis. So if it closes below that 702.78, now this needs to hold as support. So 702.78 is holding for right now. And then we're looking at the 9-day simple moving average, that dashed green line. So that's what we're looking at. And this area that it's in is like really tight. It's really tight with the technicals, as you can see how many lines are on the chart right now in that area with these price levels. But it is still trading above the 9-day simple moving average and the 200-day simple moving average. So what we're going to look at, let's do the quote. And since this is an ETF, I call it an ETF quote. So we're going to do the ETF quote on this ETF. And then we're going to look at the volume. So let me cut on the floating data box and let's get into that. And I see that it's a chat. What's up, sis? I'm seeing the chat. I'm going to pull you on the screen in a second. Okay, so the SPY opened at $710.28. They had a high of $711.28, and they had a low of $702.64, and they closed today at $704.08, which was a trading range of $8.63. And when we look at the volume is 58.9 million shares of this ETF was traded today. Now we need to look at what the average volume is to compare it to see if this is above or below average. Is this 58.9 even significant for this ETF? So let's look at that now. So cut off the floating data box. And then take me off the screen. Here we go. So the average trading volume for this ETF is 76.5. We're going to round this up. 76.6 million shares of this ETF is what they usually trade. So the volume for today was low compared to the average. And then the volume on Monday, this previous one, was 43.5 million. So this was even lower than today, but the volume is increasing even though both of those days were below the average. So now when we look at the volume rank percentile tool, let me put me back on the screen. It was only 16.3%. So out of the most recent 252 trading days, only 41 days had a lower volume than today. So it wasn't a lot of shares traded on this ETF today compared to what they usually get. That's what we're looking at. Okay, so let's go to this screen right quick to give my sis a shout out. She's tuning in. So let me find the screen I want to use since these buttons ain't working right tonight. So here's our chat. Great session. Appreciate you, sis. Ms. Owens, thank you for tuning in. So let's go over and go back to where are we at now. Let's look. Let's see where we at. We did finish the volume. So let's move on. Here we go. So now let's talk about today's winners and losers. Let's put the like button back up on the screen. Let's talk about today's winners and losers. Take this off the screen with the oh my gosh. I can't do nothing but laugh. At least I got the sound on tonight. So if you've been tuning in, yesterday I ain't even had a sound on. This don't even bother me. These problems and issues that I run into when I'm doing these streams don't even bother me no more. Like this is almost normal at this point. So now let's look at today's winners and losers. And first we're going to look at the loser so we can end the night on a high note. Okay. So let's move on and talk about the biggest loser. So let's go over here, back to the charts. I'm going to take SPY off the screen because we're not looking at the SPY. That didn't work. So let's go over here and do that. Take off the SPY. There we go. So the SPY, we're not looking at that. We're going to go over to Market Watch. Now we need to pull up the S&P 500 watch list. So we click on this, go down to public, S through W, go over here, S&P 500, select that. We're going to link this chart to the number 1. I'll show you what that means in a minute. And now we're going to change the columns to market recap. Click percentage change, and there's our biggest loser for today. So ticker TSCO is our biggest loser for today. Let's try our luck with this button and see what happens. Oh, one more time. Okay, we got it. So there's the biggest loser for today, and they lost 11.69% today. So the previous close was $44.81. Let me point that out to you. $44.81. This is what they closed at on Monday. Today, they closed at $39.57. So let's pull up our calculator. If someone had invested $1,000 and they lost that 11.69%, the 11.69 click percentage, they would have lost $116.90. So we're going to negate this and add the $1,000 investment capital back to it. And it's going to show us the difference of what they would have left from that initial $1,000 investment. And it would be $883.10. Okay. So that was the hypothetical investment of $1,000. Now, let's get some more details about this company. Now, the reason why I linked this right here, putting that red number 1, is so when I select it and go over to analyze, this automatically switches because this is chain linked together. This number matches the other number. So anytime you change something in this symbol box, every number that has the 3 on it, like if we go to the charts, remember this had the SPY on it. But because this has the number 1, every time I change this ticker, it changes on everything that matches that link number. So that's why I did that. So the ticker is TSCO, and they are in the consumer discretionary sector. So let me take me off the screen so you can see when we look at the company profile. The company profile, the company's name is Tractor Supply Company. Their website is right here, and the link for their website is also down in the description for your convenience. So let's read a little bit about the description. Tractor Supply Company operates as a rural lifestyle retailer in the United States. The company provides various merchandise, including livestock and, I don't know that word, I'm not even gonna try, feed and equipment, poultry, fencing, and sprayers and chemicals. All right, I did some research. Let me put me on the screen. I did some research before the live stream, so I'm not gonna do you greasy. I got a special treat for you tonight about the goods and services that this company offers. But let's go ahead and visit the website, and then I'll give it to you at the end of our reviewing the website. So let's go there first. So here's the website. We can take this ticker off the screen. So let me take that down. We don't need this right now. All right. So Tractor Supply Company. Oh my gosh. This looks like a Home Depot or a Lowe's. I've never seen one of their stores before, but we can definitely see their goods and services they offer right there with a visual. They even sell barbecue grills. Let me unblock that. So this is definitely a store for you. They got a bunch of goods you can go in here and buy. I don't know why this didn't load up. This is blank. It says view all. Look like it's still loading. I don't know what's going on, guys. I don't know what's going on. So these are the different brands that they carry. Carhartt, Cub Cadet, Purina, DeWalt. Wow. Okay. So let me take me off the screen so you can see this at the bottom. Who we are. So here's the About Us section. I see the investors relations. So boom, we got that figured out. I see careers. So we got that figured out. And who we are. So we're going to look to see if we can find the mission statement, vision statement, and purpose under who we are. So I just selected that. Okay. So this talks about the Tractor Supply Company. I'm zooming in, putting me back on the screen. Here we are. So scroll down, about Tractor Supply Company. So they talk about their sales, their 85 plus years of service, the number of stores that they have, and the number of states that they are in, and their team members, the number of their workforce, employees that they have on their workforce. That's cool. All right. So this part right here actually does a quick, this is great. This section right here, when it says TSC's products include, this is a great overview. And this is what I mean by the power of going to the website and looking on these different things. So because they did this, I'm going to tell you what I found in my research before I came to the website, because I got it right here on the prompter. Give me 1 second. So TSC, that's not their ticker. TSCO sells goods and services. So this is what I found during my research. This is not everything that they sell, because we done looked at the website, but some of those goods are livestock and pet supplies, agriculture and fencing, and even apparel. So that's what I found in my research. And some of their services are propane filling stations and trailer rentals. So this section right here actually supports what I found in my research, but it goes into deeper detail. When I said apparel, they talk about the clothing right there, the pet supplies. It gives you more details. I talked about the fencing from my research. So this lines up with what I found before I actually went on the website. So they talk about, they have a map here that breaks down their different locations. You can see that right there. So now we're going to look for the careers. All right, so right down here, let me take you off the screen so you can see it. Right here, it says mission and values. So I like the fact that they have that listed. That makes it very obvious. I like when they do it like that so you don't have to dig around. So they have a video right here you can watch. They have the stock information over here on the right-hand side of the screen. They trade on the NASDAQ. The investors information is up at the top when you go to mission and values, and they have the career section here. So this is a one-stop shop. Everything we need to do and take care of, we got it right here. Look at this. I like how organized this is. This is one of the most organized mission and value statements I've seen on a website. They probably have these posted up in the employee lunchrooms and things like that for the employees to see it at their job, at their locations. I like that. Are we zoomed in? Can you even see this good? That's the wrong zoom. I did it on the wrong screen. Give me 1 second. Zoom back out. Okay, there we go. Go over here, zoom in, see what we got. Okay. No, we're not going to go that big. We still at 150. So there's the mission and values. I'm not going to read them all. We just know where they at. I'm just helping show you where they are. So the links are down in the description, and you can watch this video at your convenience as well. So let's go over to careers. So we can go to overview. Here we are, stewards of life out here. All right, stewardship program. Here are the mission and values again, focus areas. So they recycle oil, they plant trees. I'm looking at this. They conserve water usage. It's a lot of different things they do. I'm looking for the benefits. We're in the careers section now. I believe that's stewardship. Why am I could have sworn I clicked careers. Oh, that's why. Careers opens up a whole nother website, guys. Let me bring this over so you can see it. So here is careers. Blow this up. Zoom in. Blow it up. Zoom in. 150. There we go. Here go these cookies. Reject all of them. All them cookies on here. So they talk about the different locations or the different areas. Yeah, the different departments that they have. That's a good way of saying it. The different departments, the distribution center, the stores, things like that. So I'm looking for the benefits. Why choose us? Here it is. Bam! Our benefits. Let's go right there. Remember, the links for this website are down in the description for your convenience so you can look. So they talk about their retirement program, paid leaves or leaves, the medical. You can click on these too. I'll click on one so I can show you what it looks like. Pet insurance, tuition. Here's a third company talking about adoption assistant, guys. And they offer the stock and purchase plan. Let's click on this one. Oh, it just flips it over and give you more details about it. That's dope. I like this. I like it. All right, let's go over to, this is a whole different website. We're just going to leave this website and go to investors relations from here. So stock information. Let's go to investors relations. Let's see if it'll take us to okay. It took us to a whole nother page. So this is the investors relations page. Let's see if it zoomed this out. It definitely did. So we're back in at 150. Scroll down, see what they're showing on this page. Remember, the links are down in the description for your convenience. Can you click on this? You can click on that. Here's the stock quote and chart. There we go. So here's the stock quote. Here's the chart that they offer on the website. Let's see if they offer other tools, stock information. Yes. And they do pay dividends. So this is how you can find this on their website. Now let's go back to think or swim. Let's go to the platform. So we already have them pulled up. So let's go over to the charts. We visited the website, and remember, they are the biggest loser. But boy, oh boy, oh boy. Did they have earnings today? Yes. And they had earnings today. So this is another thing that I'm seeing as a pattern when we look at these companies. Recently, the biggest losers we've been seeing have been on earnings days. So when they come out with earnings, the stock has been declining on that earnings day, and they end up hitting the biggest loser list in the S&P 500 list. Now, let me tell you a little bit about this from what I've learned. Just because the stock goes down on earnings doesn't necessarily mean the earnings were bad. And I know that's probably shocking to you. Like, what do you mean? Sometimes they can come out and beat. They can have increased revenue. They can have increased profits, and the stock price will still go down. Okay. Now, let me explain what I've learned from this, like how I see it. If this stock is overvalued, or there's a better opportunity somewhere else, more people come in and trade around earnings time. So the best time for you to sell it and get out is around earnings. So investors could be using this as an opportunity to take their money out to put it into another investment. They're not taking it out because this in particular company is bad. They're just taking it out because they see a better opportunity somewhere else. Does that make sense? I hope so. I hope so. So it doesn't necessarily mean that when earnings are great or good, that the stock price is going to go up just because they're good. And it doesn't mean that if it's bad, that means it's going to go down. It depends. If it's already overvalued, they can have great earnings and the stock price will still go down, or if people are looking to put their money to work somewhere else. So I just wanted to share that with you. So let's look at the pattern that just happened, or the technical analysis thing that's been the most recent. A gap has happened. So when they closed, the low, let me change that. The low from Monday to the high of today created a price gap. So there's no trading recently in this area right here. Let me zoom in. And we are looking at a 1-year daily chart. There's no price action here. You see how these candles don't cross one another's path? These are next to each other. So there's no gaps in between these price changes over here. But this one has a gap. So there was no trading between $44.18 and $42.90 during these two most recent trading sessions, today and yesterday, 420 and 421. So this is a gap. So the price opened here at the body of this candle, and it closed here at the bottom of the body of this candle. And we're going to talk about the open, close, high, and lows when we do the stock quote. Right now, I want to do the technical analysis. So when we look over to the far left of the chart, and I'm going to take me off the screen so you can see it, there's no price data that's down at this low. So let me put a support line there for the low that happened with this candle today. So the low is 38.92, and that's what the support line is. So this line is going to go as far as it needs to go to the left. So we're going to go to a weekly chart and see if there's any historical data that crosses that new line we put. You see that 38.92? Now we're going to follow this to the left, and we can see that in 2023, that's where I'm getting the date from, down at the bottom right here, that has all these icons over it. So let me zoom in a little bit so we can spread it out. 2023, that's when it crossed that area. And you can see that these two candles came down and tested this 200-day simple moving average line, these two candles here. And remember, these are weekly candles now. So if we keep looking back, we can see that the price stayed at this area for a few weeks back in 2022. And that's where the level or the price is at now. In 2026, it's at 2023, 2022, and 2021 price levels. It's like going back in a time machine and you able to buy this stock or someone can buy it for prices that it was available for in 2023, 2022, and 2021. And if we go back even further, so let me zoom out, it was trading for lower than 38.92 if we look back further. So in the beginning of 2021, et cetera, et cetera. So because these price levels have been here before, in my technical analysis, the most recent with low that I could look at as the next area for support, if the price was to continue to go down, would be this area right here, the bottom of these candles. But we're going to draw it as a zone because we're going to use these previous price levels to help us see where the price might find support at. Okay. So I'm going to connect it to these two candles and bring it over and use some of these candles to show you the support and resistance zone. So I'm going to say this area right here is going to be my support and resistance zone. Now we need to bring this over as far as we can to the right, like I showed you earlier. So we're going to go to edit properties. And it would be this one up here. So you can jump by using this bigger arrow. So this is December 2000, and this one does the months. So we're going to go to May 21st. Then click OK. And then that zone is going to go over to that date on the right. So that's what I'm seeing as the next area of support if it was to break below the 38.92. But I'm not seeing it as a clean line. I'm seeing it as a zone. And that zone looks like it's from, and I'm rounding this off, from $35 to $37.50. I'm just rounding it off. So if it breaks this 38.92 and comes down further, I'm looking for it to find support in this zone. That's what I would like to see for myself. Okay, so we did the technical analysis. Let's go ahead and do the, and it's trading below the 9-day simple moving average, and this is the weekly chart. Here's the daily chart. So now this is the 200-day simple moving average, this white line up here, 200-day simple moving average. This is the 9-day simple moving average, the dashed green line. When we go to the weekly chart, this is a 200-week moving average, the white line. And then the green line is a 9-week simple moving average. So depending on what chart we're looking at, those things look exactly the same. That's why I'm telling you, it's important to know what candles you're looking at. These are weekly candles. And then when I go here, these are daily candles. But on both charts, on the weekly chart and on the daily chart, it's trading below both of the simple moving averages, whether it's a weekly or a daily. And this is where we are right now. So let's get the stock quote for ticker TSCO. So let me cut on the floating data box. Here we go. So TSCO opened at $46.60. They had a high of $42.90. They had a low of $38.92, and they closed today at $39.57, which was a trading range of $3.98. The trading volume was 29.9 million shares of this stock was traded today. Now we need to look at what the average volume is. And man, oh man, the average volume definitely tells the story, okay? The average volume for this stock is 5.9 million shares. And they did almost 5 times. They almost did 5 times what they usually do. 5 times. So I'm rounding this down to 5 million. The average is just 5 million. They did 26, almost 26 million just today. And then yesterday they did double. They did 10 million yesterday. So the volume is definitely higher than average, and it increased even more when they had earnings today. And the volume rank percentile tells even a bigger story. It was 100%, which means out of the most recent 252 trading days, no days had higher volume than today. So people were definitely motivated to sell this stock today. They definitely were motivated to get out of there. Wow. All right, so we did our technical analysis on the biggest loser, and I shared with you the goods and services because we did that research prior. So let's go back to Market Watch, and now we can look at the biggest winner for today. So that would be ticker NTRS. And let's pull that ticker up on the screen. Let's see if I'm gonna have any luck with this button. And I already see that this is wrong. So let's fix that. I'm just gonna manually push it. Here we go. Bam, NTRS. So Northern Trust Corporation, that's the company. They had an 8.02% gain today. The previous close was $158.99, and today they closed at $171.74. So if someone had invested $1,000, I'm gonna do this math off the top of my head. Someone had invested $1,000 in this company, they would be seeing a gain of $80.20 from that $1,000 investment, from the previous closing price to today's closing price. We're gonna speed this up a little bit because we already nearing 12 o'clock. So let's click on this to go to analyze. So ticker NTRS, the company name is Northern Trust Corporation, and they are in the financial sector. Take me off the screen. Let's read the company profile, just the monitor. And we didn't have this on, so let's put that back on. Tune us Monday through Friday, I believe that's the right one. All right. So here's the website. The link for the website is in the description for your convenience. And let's read a little bit about this description. Northern Trust Corporation, a financial holding company, provides wealth management, asset servicing, asset management, and banking solutions for corporations, institutions, families, and individuals. This is great. All right. And what I mean by that is I did research without looking on the description first. Put me back on the screen. So you're like, what is he? What do you look like? So I did research for some of these companies before we did this live stream today to get an idea of what the goods and services were before we looked at the website and before we read the description to see how accurate looking at the website and reading the descriptions were. So we're going to look at the website and then I'm going to share with you what I have found in my research before we looked at these. Okay. So let's go to their website. And this is Northern Trust Corporation's homepage. They are in the financial sector, which we talked about, and they offer asset management, wealth management, and things like that. And I'm gonna go ahead and tell you what I have found during my research. I'm gonna share it with you right now just to get it out of the way. They sell services specifically for high-end financial services. They sell services. They don't sell goods. They sell services, specifically high-end financial services. Some of those services are wealth management, asset servicing, and asset management. That's what I have found in my research. And that's what I've seen in the details. And that's what I'm seeing here on the website. And they tell you they do this for institutions, families, individuals, and things like that. So here's their homepage. Now we need to find the About Us. That's probably at the top. Who we serve, what we do, About Us, insights and research. I'm gonna tell you. And something that blows my mind when we look at these financial websites, sometimes, especially like if they're a investment company, like this one is a holding company, they don't show the stock quotes on their website. I don't know why they don't do it. Now, I'm not saying they won't, but I'm telling you now before we look through it, because I haven't looked at their website now. And I noticed from the last time I had pulled up a few holding companies that specialize in stuff like this, they didn't share their stock quote information on their website. I didn't see it. So I'm telling you that now before we dig around and look for it. So let's click on who we serve to see what we can find. This is a wide bunch of different options. So they have a list here. So you can read this. The links are in the description for your convenience, but this is who they serve. Now let me click on what we do. So this is what I had just talked about in my research that I have found, right? And then here's the About Us. So there's the overview, careers. Here's investors relations. So great. It just it didn't jump out at the top and it didn't jump out at the bottom. It was in the About Us section. You had to dig for it. So here's the investors relations. I'm gonna go ahead and I know where it is. So it's in About Us. So let's go ahead and go to careers, because we still need to do the technical analysis on this. So here's the careers. Let's see if we can find some benefits. It says join us working at Northern Trust. Let me scroll this page before I start clicking. And remember, links are down in the description for your convenience if you see something that interests you and you want to look a little further on your own time. Looking. Our pledge, care, opportunity, innovate, dedication, chance, meet our partners. Benefits. Where are the benefits? All right. Don't see it. Go back to the top. About us, meet our team, find greater, working at, join us, office spotlights, apply now, career stories, maybe working at. Let's check here. Why work with us? Our business as an audit to wealth, working with. Why work with us? People and culture. Let's go to why work with us. I'm thinking if you want to get people to work for you, you tell you what the benefits are, right? This looks like something we already looked at before. This looks familiar to me. I don't know if this is anything different. This looks like the same thing we looked at on a different page, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, guys, I don't see the benefits, so we're going to move on. Let's go up here to investors relations. We didn't see that here. Let's go back to the main page. Something told me to click on it when I seen it. Working at, no. They got us in careers. No, I want to go back to the home page. Can you go to the bottom and go to the home page? Yes. Let's take us back to the home page. Yes. All right. Then we went to About Us. Yes. Investors relations. See, boy, it's like a treasure hunt. You got to pay attention. All right. Now here's the investors relations. And what we're looking for, we are looking for the stock quote and the charts to see if they offer the charts. Here's resources. Here we go. Shareholder and stock information. Okay. Let's see if they show you the stock quote and give you a chart. They show you some tools in the dividend history. Did I miss it? I don't see the stock quote. Now, see, I gave them the benefit of the doubt, but I told you, for some strange reason, I haven't seen it. When we look at holding companies, like companies that do investing for you, for some strange reason, I don't see them show you a stock quote or a chart. It's like they don't even want you to read them. I'm not saying that's what they're doing, but it's strange to me. Why is it that holding companies, from my experience of what I've seen, don't show you stock quotes or charts? And then they're in the business of offering financial services where they do the investing for you. And then when you go to their website, they don't show you stock quotes or the actual charts. I just think that's strange. And I warned you about that before we even looked. And we're looking now and I don't see it. And we've looked at multiple websites tonight. Well, we looked at two other ones. We looked at 3M and then we looked at the Tractor Supply. And we could easily find, and they weren't even a financials company. And we were able to find what we can't find here. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. So I click somewhere else. I don't see it. This is the reports. This is the SEC type stuff. So anyway, let's go over to the Thinkorswim website so we can use the charts we can find that we got. So we back on Thinkorswim. We do have that up on the screen. So we have our ticker for this. I don't even think I even took it off the screen. So we had that on while we were looking at the website. Here's the charts. Ooh, that looked beautiful going up to the upside, don't it? So let's go to a 1 year, not a 1 year. This is a 10-year weekly chart. So here's what I wanted to say about the technical analysis. Technical analysis, from what I've learned, deals a lot with historical data. Historical data helps you find previous price levels for support and resistance. So you see this high right here. I'm gonna zoom in. This high happened on the week of January 10th, 2022. This green candle that I'm mousing over right now. And I'm going to use this tool to put a price level right at the top of it. Snap it right at the top. So that high in 2022 was $135.15, right? Now, when we look further over to the right, we can see how these price levels, when I zoom in, had respected to test that area as resistance. It came right to that previous high that happened in 2022, and it couldn't cross it. It got above it, and then it came back down and it tested it as support. It did it for 3 weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4. It did it for 4 weeks. I'm sorry, 4 weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it took off. So it used that historical price level as resistance and support. So let me go zoom back out so I can show you what I'm talking about now. Because there are no highs historically that I can see in the last 10 years, the high that we have right now on this stock is like in no man's land, because there's no historical data to find levels of resistance at. I hope that makes sense to you. So like the most recent resistance we can find, support levels we can find would be below where the price is now. So this area right here would be like a support zone because of what happened that week. So let me zoom in so you can see what I'm saying. The top of this candle and the bottom of this candle came to that area. These candles, these 3 candles is telling me that this area, from what I'm seeing, is support. And that's the $157.60. But there's no historical data that I can see in the last 10 years that tells me anything about this high. So that's what I'm seeing on the technical analysis. Now, if I zoom in, it is trading above the 9-week simple moving average and the 200-week simple moving average. And did they have earnings today? No, that's not earnings today. That says 4/13. So they had earnings on the 13th. What did it jump around? I could have sworn I just saw the 13th. That's say on 4/21. Let's go to the daily chart so we can see when they had earnings. So they might have had earnings today too. So here's the daily chart. And you see how we use the weekly chart to draw those lines. And now when we come in here to the daily chart, we can see when they broke down to days, how it was respecting those levels that we use the weekly chart to use when we zoomed out and looked at a larger time frame. So the stock price is trading above the 9-day simple moving average and the 200-day simple moving average. And now that we're zoomed in to get more detail and look at days, here's where we can find the earnings date. And it was today. They did have earnings on Tuesday, the 21st. So our winner for today and our loser for today both had a nice move on earnings. And notice how this earnings caused the stock to go up. And when I say cause, we didn't look at what the earnings results were. It just was that it happened to be an earnings day and the stock price significantly went up, or it was an earnings day and the price significantly went down. We've seen 2 examples of it today, but we didn't dig into the earnings of the winners and losers. We reviewed the earnings of the highlighted company 3M that we looked at the beginning of the stream. So now let's look at the volume to see the consistency of, do these companies have increased volume around earnings? So now when I take me off the screen and we look at the volume labels, the average volume, let's do the stock quote for this one first, and then we'll look at the volume label. So cut the floating data box back on. So Northern Trust Corporation opened today. Let me zoom in. Opened today at $162. They had a high of $173.19, which was a 52-week high that they reached today. They had a low of $159.97, and they closed today at $171.74, which was a trading range of $13.21. And when we look at the trading volume was 2.7 million shares of this stock was traded today. Now, this is another example of that might not look like a lot of volume. Now, when we looked at the SPY, I believe it was, I'm not going to even try to guess off the top of my head. I just know it was like what was it, like 50 something million? And that was below average for what it usually does. So that's what I mean. So like this one is 2.7 million on average, but it's below what this company usually does. So let me take the floating data box off so we can focus on the volume. So the average trading volume for this stock is 1.3 million. So this is more than 2 times what it usually does. The volume that it was today, the 2.7 million. And then on Monday, it was below average because it was 1.2 million shares traded that day. And then when we focus on the volume rank percentile, put me back on the screen, the volume rank percentile was 96.4%. So out of the most recent 252 trading days, only 9 days had more volume than today. So that's what I'm seeing on this ticker, NTRS company, Northern Trust Corporation. All right. So that's what we got. That was pretty good. I gotta fix these issues and errors that had me going crazy tonight. So let's go here and let's wrap this up. So you already know. I hope that you learned. Wait a minute. I'm so close to finishing and I'm messing up. Give me a second. You already know. I hope that you learned something and I hope that you earned something. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. If you haven't done so already, make sure you check out the whole life insurance link I have down in the description. And make sure you tune in weekdays following the market trading session at 11 p.m. Eastern time. Take care and God bless.